And let's get the brand going. Probably should have coordinated this. Oh, we're on the opposite sides usually.
We are on the opposite sides.
There you go.
Oh, you already hit live. Oh, classic.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no, that I noticed it after I hit live. That's why.
Yeah. All right. What up, everybody? Free agency frenzy is in full effect. Kind of how would you describe this so far? It's not a mellow day, but it's not, a frenzy.
I mean, there's been interesting fantasy moves. Also, Cowboys agree 3 years, $40 million with DeMarcus Lawrence, $30 million guaranteed. Is the extension. Just wanted to say that because it just showed up in front of me. But yeah, no, it's been a pretty interesting day to say the least. Obviously, from a fantasy football perspective, the main news that we're kind of looking at, basically three main players here: Christian Kirk, James Conner, and Chase Edmonds for the most part. How would you kind of break that down?
Which one's the most fantasy viable? Or sorry, I was zoned out. I was reading tweets.
Dude, yeah, you're all good. I was looking at my TV before, but which one do you think either had their value on the market adjusted the most, or as we kind of say, basically makes them the biggest sell high?
I really like the deal for Christian Kirk. I don't like it for the Jaguars. Don't ask me what the fuck they're doing. But for Christian Kirk's sake and his dynasty value's sake, I think this is a great deal for him. Number one, Christian Kirk was always a guy that I was, buying into as a guy that was a, good buy in dynasty anyways. Number two, he proved that he's able to command targets last year, which is something Rondale Moore didn't do when he was given the opportunity. And, number three, now he has the follow the money narrative that a lot of basic fantasy players will, adhere to. So even if you don't believe in Christian Kirk's ability to be, an 1,100 yard, 8 touchdown type of wide receiver, which is, I think, his ceiling. I don't think he's going to get any better than that. But even if you don't believe in that at all, you have a selling window now, with a selling point that he is one of the higher paid wide receivers in the league. And if they don't add anybody in the draft also, then this could be, a number one target, which again, a lot of, casual fantasy players will cling on to.
Right now on the market, you could probably get Michael Gallup plus straight for Christian Kirk because somebody's just going to, follow the money. Christian Kirk got $18 million. Gallup got $12.5 million. That's a move I would make, younger receivers, draft picks. If you can move Kirk in a mid-second and move up to, the late first type of area, I would do that as well. Overall, I mean, if you have Christian Kirk, yeah, it's nice to be optimistic. But what I'm doing right now is I'm throwing them on the block and I'm seeing who's going to be the highest bidder. Because at the end of the day here, these follow the money narratives, as we've kind of showed in the last couple of years, it's kind of been a fugaz. Yeah,
with Kirk, I'm feeling more inclined to hold him right now just because I don't think he's not a big name, right? It's not like Kenny Golladay. It's not like, Allen Robinson, who's probably going to sign somewhere in the next couple of days. I think Christian Kirk is more so a guy that is going to see his value increase the closer we get to the season. And once we see him in preseason games and stuff like that, whereas right now I feel like everybody's like, it was an overrated signing. I don't think he's actually worth that money kind of thing. But if you have Christian Kirk on a dynasty roster, I think you're happy. And I traded for Christian Kirk 2 days ago. I traded away, or not even 2 days ago, it was yesterday. I traded away Devontae Adams and Damian Harris for Deontay Johnson, Christian Kirk, a second rounder and a third rounder in 2023. And I'm ecstatic for both Deontay Johnson's sake, getting a semi-competent quarterback, and Christian Kirk's sake, getting the contract that he got. Do you want to quickly gloss over the offensive line signings that are impactful?
I mean, the biggest one, in my opinion, is going to be Brandon Sheriff, in my opinion.
Right.
Just in terms of an impact. Again, has he been kind of an injured player recently? Sure, but when he is healthy, he's one of the best guards in the game. So at least with the Jaguars, they're making an effort to build around Trevor Lawrence. And do I agree with the Christian Kirk money? Do I agree with the Evan Ingram signing? Do I agree with, those type of moves that they've been making? No, but at least I'm seeing them proactively trying to give their young quarterback support, which can only be held as a positive in that organization, in my opinion. So if I'm looking at it, I mean, Brandon Sheriff, again, when he's healthy, he's one of the best guards in the game. Obviously, health is the concern there. That's why Washington moved on. Obviously, another big move is your boy Alex Kappa leaving the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'll let you touch on that too.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting for the Bengals. We've seen them, address the offensive line position. I believe they signed. Did they sign somebody else, or they're definitely going to make more moves along the offensive line? They've been rumored as being in on a guy like Teron Armstead, who's obviously a very big name. We got Bengals related thing that just happened. I guess I thought CJ Uzomah re-signed with the Bengals. That's what I thought the tweet said. He actually signed with the Jets.
That's interesting. Because everybody and their mother basically had the picking in mock drafts like Trey McBride in the draft. How would, a Uzama signing basically impact that? We will see. What were the official terms of that contract?
3 years, $24 million.
So that like they paid him like starting tight end level money. So
right. And Connor Hughes also just tweeted that they're not done. Like the Jets aren't done. I don't know what else they're gonna do. Maybe they're gonna go after, Allen Robinson or like a receiver like that. But they added an offensive lineman also in Laken Tomlinson, who's a starting guard for the 49ers, who's a solid piece. We've seen so many memes of Zach Wilson having like 3 defenders coming up the middle and the guards just like looking around, not knowing what to do. The interior of that line was like such a huge problem last year. So with Vera Tucker in his second year, with Laken Tomlinson, who's a veteran coming in, that should shore up things for him, and it should help Michael Carter in the run game as well.
Yep, for sure. So we can get through a few comments as well. Spicy Hot was in here first. Appreciate that. By the way, I'll just kind of give a reference right now for those of you that are tuning in. I've been feeling very under the weather today. A lot of COVID symptoms. So if at all I space out or look kind of like dazed, that would be the reason why, because I've genuinely just been either sleeping or fighting a microwave type of feeling in my head all day. So yeah.
Yep.
First elbow cough. Devonta Smith of the 108, one quarterback full PPR. Give me the Devonta Smith.
In a one quarterback league, I mean, what pick do you have to give up to get Devonta Smith? Or like, what pick are you keeping Devonta Smith? Like, I would personally take all of the 3 wide receivers ahead of Devonta Smith. So the 105 is probably the first pick that I would be comfortable giving up for him. So 108, you're most likely not going to get, Spiller, Walker, any of the big 3 wide receivers or Breece Hall. You're looking more so Olave, Jameson Williams versus Devonta Smith, and I will take Devonta Smith there.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I actually just acquired Devonta Smith today, so I mean I could relate to that. Speaking of, I actually got Devonta Smith and the 108, and the deal I did, I actually ended up sending Jalen Waddle. So there's that. Let's get into some questions. What's up, guys? What's up, Jay Heebs? JC. Yeah, I mean the Chargers gave him the bag, and man,
how did the Jags not just give that exact same contract to JC Jackson instead of to Christian Kirk?
I know.
You get a lockdown corner at the more important position. It was the same amount of money. Like, why don't, I guess not quite the same amount of money, but it was, per year, it was basically the same amount.
I mean, we're legitimately talking about it. Also, I just noticed our backdrop literally just says Dynasty Decisions. But we were talking about it in one of our group chats. But like JC Jackson got less money on the open market than Christian Kirk on an APY basis. Like Christian Kirk's deal is ranging between 18 and 21 million. Like, keep in mind, the Cowboys moved off of Amari Cooper because of a $20 million cap hit. If you're the Jaguars, you could have gotten Amari Cooper for a 4th round pick and just paid him the money you would have given to Christian Kirk anyways. Like, what are they doing?
They probably could have even restructured his contract too.
Yeah. So, I mean, what a mess. What do you think about Mitch in Pittsburgh? I think he's nothing more than a bridge quarterback, in my opinion. I think, if anything, this is more symbolic to me that they're more willing to make a plunge on a Malik Willis type of quarterback. Because, again, a young quarterback, raw type of quarterback with the ceiling that Malik Willis has, at least you have a stopgap in case Malik Willis isn't ready to play in week 1. I think that's what Mitch Trubisky represents.
Yeah, and it's, to me, the smart decision was to get a bridge quarterback and go for a rookie, because you have a young offense. Big Ben retires. It doesn't make sense for you to go get, I mean, as much as Deshaun Watson would help the Pittsburgh Steelers, they would have no assets to build up their offensive line. They, have holes on defense that they're going to need to fill as well. So it makes sense to kind of reboot this thing from the beginning with a rookie quarterback. And I would much rather, sign Mitch Trubisky than trade for Jimmy Garoppolo or somebody like that. So
in a heartbeat,
like a very smart decision, I think, for the Pittsburgh Steelers. From a fantasy perspective, are you worried? Like, a lot of people are going to put a lot of stock into how does this affect Najee Harris? How does this affect Deontay Johnson? How does this affect Chase Claypool? When the signing is not impactful, like what Mitch Trubisky can represent, like he's obviously not Deshaun Watson. He's not, a bum quarterback either. I think this impacts these guys, like, on a baseline level. It helps them a little bit, but it doesn't. I'm not going crazy and saying that, Mitch Trubisky threw to his slot receiver at a 75% rate this season. That means Deontay Johnson's going to be great. Like, no, Deontay Johnson's the number 1 on that team. He's going to get all the targets. Najee Harris is going to get all the volume in the world. Probably a good amount of receiving volume as well. And then Chase Claypool, maybe it's a bit of an upgrade for him because Mitch is probably a better deep passer than Ben, but that's about it.
And people will always make, again, this Fugazi take that certain quarterbacks will throw to the slot more, certain quarterbacks will throw to, the running back more, the tight end
Mobile
more.
quarterback like Mitch Trubisky won't throw to Najee Harris type of
Yeah.
takes.
Like at the end of the day here, quarterbacks will throw to the best players in their offense, regardless of the situation they're in. So if somebody's fading Deontay Johnson because of a Mitch Trubisky split in Chicago, where his only viable receiver at the time when he was playing in Chicago was freaking Allen Robinson, that's when you buy the dip. I mean, if somebody's willing to offload Deontay Johnson because of this news, I mean, go scoop the market. You never know, especially in more casual leagues, what is really going on in the minds of some of the players in your league, some of your league mates.
Sure.
So, what the hell? Yeah, I mean that Kirk deal was pretty insane. I think for real though, hey, $18 to $21 million, given the incentives type of bonus you can get. So that's crazy. Appreciate it, Brock. I kind of mentioned it. I could be doing a little bit better, but I mean, nothing brings the spirits up like a live stream, especially when a lot of moves are happening around the NFL right now.
Yep.
What's up, boys? Whole lot of stuff going on.
Oh my God, I can't believe I haven't brought up Tom Brady yet. I've been on here for 11 minutes. I cannot believe I didn't bring up Tom Brady yet. I mean, great news. I'm not going to, go too in depth with the Bucs, but they're clearly running it back. You get, Carlton Davis, Ryan Jensen, both on team friendly contracts. I think that's less than I expected them to have to pay for those guys. Tom Brady is undoubtedly going to lure Leonard Fournette and Rob Gronkowski back. I think it's like a foregone conclusion that those guys are coming back. The only way I could see Fournette not coming back is if the Bucs don't want him, which I don't think is the case, because I mean, is paying a 27-year-old running back a smart idea? Probably not, but are they going to give him like a 2-year, $15 million contract, like fully guaranteed, or like $10.5 million guaranteed just to satisfy his need to get paid? Probably. I think that's probably what's going to happen.
Yep. No, I could definitely see that as well. Yo, what's up, Bryson? Speaking of the Saints.
He's waiting for the Saints to make a move. And I love watching Deshaun Watson. I don't want to have to root against the guy from a football perspective. So I really, really hope he does not go to the Saints. I'd much rather him go to the Panthers, even though they're still in my division, than the Saints, because at least then DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey get a great quarterback.
Well, I was going to be curious, like, in your opinion, which landing spot would you prefer from a fantasy standpoint between the Panthers and the Saints?
For Watson?
Yeah. Watson, or like if you want to make the case from like the offense around him, like
I would say the Panthers definitely, because I haven't seen, like, DJ Moore, just of all those players, needs a quarterback upgrade.
Agreed.
And I mean, we've seen Michael Thomas play with good quarterbacks already. Alvin Kamara, I just traded away in a dynasty league, so I'd rather him not get Deshaun Watson and make me look stupid. So I'll take I hope he goes to the Panthers, basically.
I'll just say one thing. We keep talking about the elite volume that DJ Moore commands. Could you imagine 160 Deshaun Watson targets next year?
I mean, Deshaun Watson made, Will Fuller a wide receiver one on like 6 targets a game.
Yeah.
So if he's giving DJ Moore 9 targets a game, I think that's going to be a very, very, like DJ Moore's ceiling goes from, a back end wide receiver one to the wide receiver one overall with Deshaun Watson as his quarterback. He has 165 target, 1,500 yard, 12 touchdown upside if Deshaun Watson is his quarterback.
Yeah. And we're kind of talking about it off camera, but I truly think, like, given the type of landing spots that we see for Deshaun Watson, and obviously given the talent level that he represents, given the rushing ability that he represents, he's probably quarterback 6 in Dynasty for me. I mean, the way I'm looking at it, if I was on the clock, knowing the situation, knowing Deshaun Watson trade has already finalized between Watson and Burrow, I would take Watson. Like, and it was tough for me. I took a while to like think about it. Like, I was debating, Watson, Burrow, and Dak. But the way I was thinking about it is Watson's literally the same age as Burrow, and we know what he is capable of with his legs. And as we know, the Konami code, basically, if you don't have a quarterback that has an elite rushing ceiling. Now, would I put Deshaun Watson's rushing ceiling up there with, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray? No, but can he give you 600 yards, 650 yards, and, 6 to 8 touchdowns on the ground? I think that's in his range of possibilities. I can never see that happening for Joe Burrow or Dak Prescott. So I officially made it. He is my quarterback 6 in Dynasty.
Yeah, I don't disagree with the take at all. I've kind of said all the time too, like, as a passer and just what he represents to an offense. Like, I think Deshaun Watson's like one of the top 3 most valuable quarterbacks in the league. Obviously, pending his legal situation, assuming he's still like a good leader and all that stuff, but I don't, know that information. So NFL finna be weird, Javon says. Yep. Thoughts on James Conner? Okay, so the Cardinals running backs. We should probably talk about those guys. James Conner going back to Arizona was great outcome for him, right? Like that was probably his best landing spot. The fact that he also went back to the Cardinals and Edmonds is gone was like the best possible outcome for James Conner. The money is a little concerning for me because it was only 3 years, 18 million that he got. Like it's not a lot of money that they gave him. They didn't give him, 3 years, 35 million, like, a Chris Carson like contract or something, which is what I expected him to get, to be honest. I expected him to get more north of like 30 million if it was a 3-year deal. So, good for Connor from like a redraft perspective and, short term and stuff. But I mean, we're talking about a guy with a decent, underrated amount of career touches under his belt. He's 27 years old or 26 and a half years old right now. From a dynasty perspective, I'm looking to sell him unless I'm an immediate contender. And I
100%.
literally just did sell him in one of my dynasty leagues. I sold James Conner, Matthew Stafford, and a 3rd round pick for Marquise Brown and a 1st rounder. So that was kind of the trade that I made. I think James Conner is like the perfect add-in. If you have another, if you're a rebuilding team like I was, and you have another contending piece that you're trying to move, maybe it's like Mike Evans, maybe it's like Keenan Allen, somebody like that. If you package in James Conner with one of those pieces, then you could probably get a good amount of draft capital. You could probably squeeze a 1st and a 2nd out of somebody for one of those, like, win now wide receivers in James Conner.
Well, with a guy like James Conner, you could probably net an early to mid 2nd round rookie pick on the market. And if you guys have watched our content, if you guys have seen, Bush's Sell These Running Backs Now video, you guys have seen, my thread on running backs once they reach that touch apex over time. He is the prime sell in fantasy football right now. Like if you can go off, to a younger option, or maybe you could package, James Conner in a 2nd and get a young established wide receiver, I would be looking to really scour the market and go after and, inquire about teams that are looking for that RB2 to take them over the hump. So, James Conner, immediate sell. Like if you can get, mid 2nd or higher value for him, I would take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah. A couple other, there's another move
Von
that
Miller
came
Cowboys?
up.
What?
Yeah. Xavier Woods actually got signed by the Panthers. So you guys might get a comp pick. Mark Lewinsky got signed by the Giants to play, starting guard, assuming for them. So maybe stock up for the Giants offense, get some kind of formation of an offensive line. Today where too many guys got overpaid. Definitely agree. My Niners didn't get JC. Damn, man. Yeah, you guys, I from all accounts, sounded like you guys were really, really in on them. Evan Ingram to the Jags. I mean, you kind of briefly touched on it. Does Evan Ingram go up, go down, say the same for you in Dynasty? Is this a good thing for him? I think he probably stays the same. There's nothing really exciting about what happened with Evan Ingram. I actually kind of expected him to get a bigger contract. So I might even go as far to say his stock is down because it sounds like for whatever reason, NFL teams were like in on him.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. It's another one of the weird Jaguars moves that have been happening. So I don't know. I mean, if you have Evan Ingram, maybe kind of see, Trevor Lawrence owner, maybe wants to, get that stack. They've seen what Evan Ingram did earlier in his career.
I might wait on Ingram because he's the type of guy that's going to look good in, shorts and OTAs and stuff. So I could see him getting a lot of like buzz in training camp and everyone, be ready for, Evan Ingram looks like he's in the best shape of his life. Looks like he shaved 5 years off the clock or whatever. It's not like Evan Ingram is old. I just can see that coming. And that I think is probably the time to sell Evan Ingram. So if you have Evan Ingram and you're not competing or you're looking to trade him, I'd probably wait until training camp or sometime around then.
For sure. And is there like news or something or rumors about Dallas with Von Miller? Because I'm on NFL Network right now, muted, and literally like every single graphic I see is Von Miller in Dallas. Like, is there any actual like validity to that? Or like,
I don't know. I haven't seen anything about that. I saw that Deshaun Watson supposedly concluded his meetings with the Saints and with the Panthers, and apparently they sent all the big guns. Tepper was meeting with him one-on-one, and he's
gonna be a Panther.
Dennis Allen and stuff. I think he's going to go to Carolina personally. Apparently, he okayed that spot because we've heard like conflicting reports that he doesn't want to go to Carolina, and then some say that he does want to go to Carolina. So I have no idea, but I mean, Deshaun Watson played at Clemson, so I don't see why he's got a problem with Carolina all of a sudden.
Yep, no, I agree. Also, I mean, I'll just quickly say that that little Fugazi rumor about Von Miller in Dallas. It would make sense from his perspective as an older pass rusher going to his hometown, because he played at Texas A&M. So if they can't afford Randy Gregory, maybe that's your replacement. But either way, let's get back to comments. Enough about Dallas because I'm sure everybody. I mean, pretty much.
Yeah.
We need Bradbury. Yeah. I think Fig said he's a Niners fan, so that would be an interesting fit.
Yeah, I feel like from an NFL perspective, we've definitely seen some big name dudes get signed, but I'm a little bit worried that we haven't seen a lot of fantasy guys get signed yet. Like the only fantasy relevant moves we've seen are like a couple tight end deals, Christian Kirk and Mitch Trubisky. And then I mean we could talk quickly if you want to talk about another Cowboy, Cedric Wilson signing with the Dolphins. We could talk about that one real quick. Does that move the needle at all for Cedric Wilson? Does that make you nervous that, Miami's not? Because I was under the impression that Miami was probably going to spend, their second or their third round pick on another wide receiver potentially. Do you think they're done at wide receiver? They're going to go into the season with like Wilson and Waddle and, what they got?
Parker. Well, I mean, like theoretically here, you're automatically assuming that, Waddle's going to be your Z, Cedric Wilson's going to be your slot, and Devontae Parker's going to be your prototypical X. I can see them getting a young replacement for Devontae Parker, like say at their pick, maybe, Justin Ross or George Pickens falls to them in the second round. I think that could be a fit for them. But aside from that, I mean, I don't really see, them spending I don't see them spending the 29th overall pick on a wide receiver, if that's what we're asking.
Yeah. I don't think I highly doubt they're going to spend, a high pick on him. They don't even have the first round pick though, do they?
They have 29th overall pick. They have, who's pick? The 49ers pick.
Oh, do they have the 49ers pick? Oh, yeah, they do. They do. Okay.
Yeah, because they traded their own pick to the
right. Thoughts on Jameis if he signs with the Colts? If Jameis signs with the Colts, that's a great spot for him. And I would be very happy as a Jameis dynasty owner if he signed with the Colts because I don't really know what the Colts are doing. I feel like they're kind of just panicking. They don't really know what they're doing themselves. If you were going to move off of Carson Wentz to get Jameis Winston, I mean, it makes sense. I think Jameis Winston's probably a bit better than Carson Wentz, but they are the same type of quarterback. So,
I mean,
it's kind of odd to me that you don't overcorrect and go for like a game manager type if you can't get like Watson, which they clearly can. Apparently, they already inquired about him. So, I think Jameis, it'd be great for him and it'd be great for like, everybody involved,
Fantasy.
but I just don't know if it's going to happen.
Well, I mean, I will say, from a team management standpoint, from an asset management standpoint, I mean, you're basically getting. I think we're both under, the belief, like me, like myself and yourself, that like Jameis Winston right now is a better quarterback than Carson Wentz. And Carson Wentz, you moved off his full $30 million and got 2 third-round picks for him. You'd be getting Jameis for a fraction of that cost while still netting those 2 third-round picks. So, I mean, if the Colts were to do this move, we think they're getting an upgrade at quarterback. They also get 2 third-round picks, and they also shed a ton of cap by getting rid of Carson Wentz. So, overall, if Jameis signed with the Colts, we'll say a 1-year, $20 million deal. Let's just say hypothetically, or 2 years, $35 million or something like that. Like, I think that would be a good fit for that franchise.
Yeah, for sure. I guess we didn't actually talk about Chase Edmonds' side of things. What are your thoughts on Edmonds? Do you we kind of talked about it off camera already. Yeah. This dude screams RB dead zone, sell high, like just get him off your roster. 2 years, $12 million is less money than Kenyon Drake got. It's less money than, a lot of other backup running backs are going to get. And it's not that I don't think Chase Edmonds is good, because I think he's fine for what he is. He's not a superstar running back. He's like an average running back who's a good pass catcher. But the Dolphins are probably not done. History would suggest that they're either going to add another free agent, they're going to draft somebody, they're going to wait until training camp and a couple guys get cut off of rosters, and then they'll add them then. Chase Edmonds does not, I know he's a good fit for the scheme, which everybody seems to argue, but he's a slightly better Gaskin going into the season, and Myles Gaskin and Chase Edmonds is the starting running back tandem for Miami.
Well, I mean, with Edmonds, you're getting a more athletic, better version of what you have with Myles Gaskin, in my opinion. That would be kind of his role, the third down pseudo type of back. And Hayden made a good point today. He ended up posting it on Twitter. If you guys don't know, Hayden Winks Underdog Fantasy. I saw him actually in the stream, so wanted to quickly plug him there. But he mentioned Raheem Mostert as being a perfect name to join with Mike McDaniel, maybe being had on a cheap contract and can fill that first and second round slasher between the tackles type of role. And I think Raheem Mostert would be a perfect fit for that team. I also think if they went the route of the draft, 4th round, I mean, we mentioned our boy Tyler Algier. I think that would be a phenomenal fit if they went that direction as well. A bigger back that can play in that wide zone type of system. And credit Algier too. He is what everybody kind of wanted Jared Dokes to be for Miami last year, because Tyler Algier is just a better version or a good version of what kind of Jared Dokes represented from that height, weight, speed type of combination last year.
Yeah, exactly. I think and again, even if Miami goes into the season with Chase Edmonds as their starter, am I going to be interested from a fantasy perspective? Probably not. It's an average offense, a running back who has not shown the ability to handle a full workload if he's even given one to begin with. I think Gaskin would be involved in whoever else that they have in store in Miami, and people are going to talk themselves into a pass catching running back with a workload, that's huge, just like they did with Mike Davis last year. He'll be like a 5th round pick in fantasy drafts that as we've talked about for, 2 years now, I'd just rather take a wide receiver where he's probably going to end up going if everything holds and he's like the starting running back for that team.
Yeah, as you guys know from watching the channel, we just don't touch those dead zone running backs. So let's get into
I
some more
tweeted welcome to the dead zone Chase Edmonds after he got signed. Real quick, I just skipped a couple questions. What are the Cowboys going to do at wide receiver? I mean, Danny and everybody seems to believe that they're going to take Treylon Burks at 24. I think it's probably stupid if they do that because they have other needs, but Jerry Jones not going to be able to say no to an Arkansas Razorback probably.
If they were to draft a receiver in the first round, I think the best fits would either be a guy that can take the top off of defense from a speed perspective, or a guy that presents, a bigger body that can really do what Treylon Burks can after the catch. So if I'm talking about best fits, I think Treylon Burks would be a really good fit in terms of what he's able to do after the catch, in terms of the size profile he represents. And I also think that Chris Olave would be a really good fit for Dallas too. Getting that polished route runner. I don't want to say he would be like that Amari Cooper type of mold, but from a speed
I think he's more like Gallup than Cooper even.
Really, eh?
Yeah, well, he's more of like the field stretcher,
he's
body
more nuanced
guy like Michael Gallup.
Well, he's more nuanced than Gallup, which is kind of why I would suggest that, because, he brings, the route running ability, the ability to stretch the top. So I think Olave would be a good fit. If they were to choose to address that in the second round, I think somehow, a guy like Sky Moore, George Pickens were to fall, that would be a phenomenal pick. I also think John Mechie would make sense for them. I know I'm biased. I played against this guy, but he seems to be very well loved around the NFL media circles. So if he was there at 56, I can see them biting the bullet on, a big time school producer that John Mechie kind of was. So I can see, and obviously again with Michael Gallup being signed, if they trust that ACL, they're fine with making that investment.
Yeah, for sure. So, biggest signing was Mo Alley-Cox. Dude, I don't understand why they re-signed Mo Alley-Cox. Like, whatever. Am I interested? Again, he's another like follow the money guy. If somebody's buying into him, sell him. But there's so many I could probably name 30 dart throw tight ends in Dynasty that I would rather have than Mo Alley-Cox. Like it's just not something that interests me all that much. Corey says Jags QB suspect. They're trying to build around him. I don't know how good of a job that they're doing, but they're spending money and trying to help out Trevor Lawrence, but we'll see how it goes. Pickens would be a nice compliment to Kirk and Jackson. I saw somebody also talk about that. I think they need to get Trevor Lawrence's old running mate back. I'm pounding the drum for Justin Ross to the Jags at some point in the draft. I think it would make a lot more sense because then you get the size element, right? You get a true X on the outside. I guess Pickens gives you that as well, but Justin Ross is even bigger than Pickens. So if you get a true size, speed threat, and Justin Ross, for those of you guys that are wondering, he didn't test at the combine. He's actually going to test in a couple days on March 17th. So what is that, Thursday? That his pro day is. He said he was going to test at the combine at his pro day. So that'll be interesting to see if Justin Ross is 100% healthy. I think this dude can run probably in the high 4.4s like George Pickens did. And at his size, 6'4", 208 pounds or 210 pounds, whatever he ended up weighing in at, he'll be interesting if his health is cleared. I think NFL teams will value him a lot.
Well, I think the lazy comp there would kind of be like T. Higgins.
Or like Allen Robinson even too. Like I think I've seen kind of thrown out for Justin Ross at times.
The above the rim type of X receiver to kind of complement what they got going on with obviously Laviska Shenault playing that, slot pseudo yards after the catch kind of goal, that rack guy, and Christian Kirk being, going to be easier slot. Honestly, I just don't get that signing because I would have assumed that if they were going to sign a big money free agent, it would have been Allen Robinson because he has the versatility to play X. And
or even if they weren't gonna, if they were gonna just re-sign Chark too, would have made maybe some sense as well.
Yeah. So we can move on to some more comments. You think Lenny stays with the Bucs now that Brady's back?
I do. He made a post on Instagram the other day that he was, thankful for his time in Tampa and it's time to move on or whatever. And then Brady comes out of retirement, he deletes the Instagram post. I think, Bruce Arians likes him. Brady likes him. They probably want him to come back. I don't know if it's going to be for nothing. It could be. Maybe they sign him to a 1-year deal for like $5 million or something like that. It wouldn't shock me. But from Leonard Fournette's perspective, you don't want to go into free agency at 28 years old with 1,500 touches under your belt, or not 1,500, but like 1,200 touches under your belt next season, and not have anything to show for it from a guaranteed money perspective. So I mean, he also needs to think about his future. I really just hope we don't give him like a 3-year like $50 million deal or something like that, because I'll be a little pissed at that figure. But hopefully we can get him for like 3 years, 27 million or something like that, with some guaranteed money for him.
I agree. Speaking of Hayden, I mentioned him in the chat. I noticed him in the chat. So yeah, if I have a bad take today, if you guys hear something I'm saying that doesn't make sense, I'm just gonna blame it on COVID. Just ahead of time.
Take backs.
Appreciate that, Brock. Means a lot. Deshaun's really
speaking it into existence right now.
12-team Superflex PPR. Someone offered me Chase, Ertz, in a 2023 likely early. I don't even have to read the rest of the other side. Give me the Chase in the first side there. I love Higgins. I love ETN. I love Kittle. But man,
I didn't even see Chase in this deal. What the hell?
Like Chase in the first is a no-brainer in my opinion.
I think Chase is worth Higgins and ETN. To be honest, you can make a legitimate argument that Chase is that much a tier above T Higgins that he's worth ETN on top of T Higgins to get Chase.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you. So if that deal is on the table, go accept it instantly there.
We didn't actually talk about Ertz because he did re-sign with the Cardinals, which, I mean, technically isn't a free agent signing, but that's interesting for him. He's definitely a guy that if you're a contender and you need a tight end, or even if you don't need a tight end, if you have, a Dalton Schultz type or somebody that's not like an elite tight end, going out and acquiring a guy like Zach Ertz is probably a smart move because with that middle tier of tight ends like Dalton Schultz, Dawson Knox types, they're no guarantee to produce again next year, even though I think that they can. So adding some tight end insurance for like a 3rd round pick, if you can get that done for Ertz, I think is a really, really smart move. And if you guys are, rebuilding teams, definitely shop Ertz to a contending team, because I think he was, really productive when he was on the Cardinals. And he's probably going to be the reason that Rondale Moore doesn't do anything next year too.
Yeah, for real though. Nice. Oh, come on, get out of here, Notorious. We both hate the Packers here as a Bucs and Cowboys fans. Bro, Deontay was good with Wash, but yeah, it genuinely makes no sense. Can we fully say right now that Trubisky right now is worse than what Big Ben was last year? We can't.
No.
So can't. Why are we trying to push this Fugazi narrative that all of a sudden, Mitch didn't target his slot, therefore Deontay Johnson is going to be involved? Get the fuck out of here, honestly.
Apparently, this is what I wish happens, because I'm sure you guys are all dreaming of the daydream scenarios for your teams right now. I want us to let Leonard Fournette walk and trade a 3rd or a 4th rounder for Saquon Barkley. That's what I want to happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but they are supposedly in talks right now. There was an update a couple minutes ago that they're talking about potentially moving Saquon Barkley or James Bradbury or both. And they're not getting the value that they want. But if I'm Tampa Bay, I'm sending my 3rd rounder for Saquon Barkley. I don't care. I'll let Leonard Fournette walk and get Saquon for a year, see how it goes. If he can stay healthy, maybe you can get him, semi-cheap on a contract extension, or you just let him walk in free agency next year.
Yeah. What would you sell Godwin for if you're a rebuilding team? Might look to do that with Brady back now. Well,
honestly, man, I've been trying to sell Godwin in a league for a long time and nobody's biting. So if you're trying to sell Chris Godwin, my best advice would be that you have to wait until he's back on the field, because everybody's so concerned with the ACL tear, and they shouldn't be, because ACL tears aren't that, crazy of an injury anymore. So they shouldn't really be that concerned with Godwin, but people are going to hold it against him. So I would wait until he's back on the field, or at least, closer to training camp, when we hear, maybe that he's going to be back at the beginning of the season or something like that. If he doesn't get put on the PUP list, that could present, a selling window at that point. But if you're going to try and sell Godwin now, you're barely going to get 1st round value for him. And I think he's worth like a 1st and a 2nd, or like somewhere in that range of value. So if you can't get that, which you won't be able to, I'd imagine, I probably would just hold him for a bit.
Yep. I would agree with that. Let's go, boys. Let's go, Nick. Watson declined Seattle and the Colts. Yeah, I did end up seeing that actually. His two main
the Texans declined the Colts, actually. Watson didn't decline the Colts.
Yeah. By the way, I just quickly want to say, did you see the Jets offer and the Browns offer for Watson? The Jets offered 3 1s and Zach Wilson for him.
That Connor Hughes said that was fake.
Oh, that was fake? Okay.
That's what he said. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's
what he said. Report. But I don't care what you're saying, or I mean, I guess he has a no trade clause, so like you have to care what Watson says in that regard. But
Right.
man, could you imagine like that got nixed? Like, could you? By the way, could you imagine Houston getting 3-1s and Zach Wilson for Deshaun Watson? It'd be nuts. Panthers equals better weapon. Saints equals better line. Yeah, that is definitely a fair point there, Scuba.
Yeah, I don't think speaking on the quarterback market, I think the teams are going to be like waiting to see what happens with Watson. I don't know if Mariota and Jameis are going to get signed until Watson gets moved, to be honest, because I'm sure that the New Orleans Saints backup plan is Jameis Winston. So if they can't get Watson, they're going to re-sign Jameis. And who knows, maybe the Panthers backup plan is like Mariota or something if they can't get Watson.
Yep. Texans decline the yeah, I mean Brock covered that. Notorious Javon. I'm gonna slow start up draft right now, and nobody's trading. I've sent trade down offers to every team. Nobody even counters anything I can do. I mean, I would keep plugging away, but if your league's inactive, I mean, that's out of your control. You can't control your own league market. All you can do is try to stay active and try to influence action.
Yeah, that's pretty much all you can do. And if you want to join a better league, then I'm sure there's plenty of guys in the Discord that'll help. You form a new league that has a little bit more fun to it.
For sure. If you can't trade Burrow away for Watson straight up, would you add to the trade to acquire Watson? If it was like, Burrow and
I would not trade Burrow straight up for Watson because I don't think you would have to. I think a lot of people would rather have Burrow than Watson. So you probably
and I would agree with you.
You could probably get Watson and at least a second round pick, if not like a solid piece on top of Watson to get to trade away for Burrow, basically.
And I would agree with you, but like worst came to worst, and we're going into the season. I'm a contender. If it's like a late third or an early fourth or whatever, like I have Watson straight up ranked over Burrow, but I don't think it would have to come down to that because I think for the majority of people, it would be at least Joe Burrow for Watson in a second, which would be a potential package because people are scared about risk. People are scared about inheriting risk, and to a lot of people, that's still what Deshaun Watson represents. So
yeah, I agree.
Traded Ingram for Tim Patrick yesterday. I know it's weird, but didn't use Ingram. Yeah, I don't mind making that move at all.
Yeah, I don't mind that move. I think Tim Patrick could have some wide receiver 3 value for you. This year with Russell Wilson for sure.
Yep. DJ Moore with Watson. Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. Watson down to Panthers and Saints.
Yeah, can we just get like a third team that's not my division that comes out of the woodworks and trades for him? That'd be appreciated.
Michael Thomas, Kamara, and Watson. Oh, you would hate that. Chase. I mean, we talked about Edmonds, but like because consensus would assume this is a big uptick. That means I'm selling him if I have.
Yeah. I would say his value went up, but it went up way the perceived value is higher right now than I'm willing to say. His value went up marginally for me, like barely at all. But people are going to talk themselves into like a big time uptick, which is why I'm going to sell him easily.
Yep.
Like of all the free agency moves thus far, I think he is the biggest like sell candidate, and it's not close.
Yep, for sure. Bryson, what do you think? What young players do you think would be included in that? Like, would you guys give up like a Ram check? I doubt it.
Yeah, like the hard thing for the Saints is that some of your young players too, like a guy that would have been perfect would have been a guy like Marcus Williams, but he's not under contract anymore. So like, are you going to give up Ramczyk, Lattimore, McCoy? Like, I doubt it. Like, I highly doubt you'd give up somebody like that.
Even if you're the Texans,
like, you're going to give up Cesar Ruiz, like maybe, but
that would be the option. Like again, if you're the Texans too, what's more valuable to you as a tanking team? All those like really really good players on big contracts, or draft capital to invest in young, youthful players to rebuild your team with. I think if you're the Texans, you would much rather the draft capital, even though those players right now on face value are probably worth more than the draft picks that are being substituted for them.
This is the third time I've seen this tweet. The Jets are not done, not even close. I've seen that 3 times from verified Twitter accounts. So I don't know what that means, but I'm guessing they're going to go after like Robinson or somebody like that's like a big name.
Yep, that would be fun. It's more of an addition by subtraction. Yeah, no, I fully agree with you there, Brock. That's a good move for your Colts. Edmonds for Juju straight up last week. I hope Juju lands somewhere good.
He's also going to be a huge sell high wherever he goes.
Yeah. I mean, I would have wanted a more insulated asset than Juju, but keep in mind we're also like relatively.
I think that's a good trade. I would rather like as much as I don't like Juju, I would rather have him than Edmonds.
And I would
also knowing what I know about the market, I know that Juju is worth more than Edmonds.
Yeah, and
even
I agree.
despite the landing spot for Edmonds.
I would rather Juju than Edmonds, but I would have personally like tried for like maybe even like if you can't get like Michael Gallup, like someone in that type of area, like
You
a
go for
fringe.
Kadarius Toney or something like that.
That would, like that would be a guy that makes more sense in my opinion. Yeah, if you need tight end help,
That's a solid move.
that's a really good do.
Especially if you're competing or whatever. Jay Heaves is a big tight end guy, I've noticed.
Yeah.
Where do you think A-Rob is going? So I've heard a couple teams so far. The Lions have been brought up repeatedly for Allen Robinson. I also heard the Jaguars initially, but that's probably over with Kirk signing there. I did hear the Jets as well. Have you seen any other teams linked to Allen Robinson? I think the Lions was the one that I've seen the most of.
Yeah. Also, I quickly wanted to say with Jay Heaves, when we did the dynasty decisions, I guess the file that he sent me didn't show like some of the top players on his team. So like when we were doing it, like again, he had like Patrick Mahomes and George Kittle and a couple other guys there. So I just helped him in the DMs. But in terms of A-Rob, I do think like the Lions would make a lot of sense, as you mentioned.
Yeah. Apparently, Austin Corbett is signing with the Panthers.
That's a fucking move.
Yeah. Dude, the Panthers line is so fucking bad. It's got to be the worst line in the entire league. Like, can you name a impact player on the Panthers offensive line?
The only offensive line I'd say is arguably worse would maybe be Miami.
Is Moton the only impact player on that line, and then everybody else is below average?
Pretty much, yeah. But I mean, who's
honestly,
even out?
Their line, like on most good offensive lines, you'll see 3 average players and 2 good players, maybe 1 elite player. And then on like elite offensive lines, really good offensive lines, you'll see like 3 good players with like an elite player and then like an average player and like maybe 1 weak link or something like that. Like the Bucs, for example, had Alex Kappa as like their 5th best player, but he's like a good player. He's not like a bad player or a great player. The Panthers offensive line is like 3 like bad players, 1 below average player, and 1 good player.
Well, like what would be the Miami offensive line comparatively?
5 bad players.
That's what I mean. Like
their line's so bad too. Like the Panthers, the Dolphins, and the Giants have like easily the worst offensive lines in the league. I think.
At least the Giants have like some
at least
type
like
of
the
hope.
Texans have Tunsil and like a couple more average players.
And I was gonna say with like the Giants, at least you have like a building block with a guy like Andrew Thomas, for example. But and they have 2 top 7 picks this year, which they can use to adjust the line too. So that should be interesting.
Yeah, my guess for A-Rob though is that he ends up signing in Detroit, and when he does, Amon-Ra St. Brown is such a good buy low. If Allen Robinson signs in Detroit, I am going to be throwing the kitchen sink at Amon-Ra St. Brown in deals because Allen Robinson. Is there a real possibility that Allen Robinson might just not be as good as he used to be? Because having bad quarterback play never stopped Allen Robinson in years past. And now all of a sudden it's like a problem for him. Like, I don't know. I tend to believe that he might have just regressed as a player a bit. So if he gets a huge contract, I'm probably going to fade him, number one. And I'm probably going to be buying whoever's around him if any of them are worth a damn. And Amon-Ra is definitely worth a damn.
Well, I mean, people are going to say the too many mouths to feed line like nobody's business. You could already picture that happening. How is Amon-Ra St. Brown going to produce when he's the wide receiver 2 on a team that also has Hawkinson and DeAndre Swift?
Oh, dude, he's going to be like a perfect like 7th round like redraft pick that I'm going to just have in every single league. The other thing, I do kind of want to go back to the CJ Uzomah to the Jets thing because I actually really like that signing for them.
Yeah.
Because they actually like it felt like they wanted to use a tight end last year. They just like didn't have one. Yeah, and the fact that they have CJ Uzomah, who's not special or anything like that, but he could be a back end tight end 1 in like redraft leagues next year. I'm not gonna go crazy and go buy him or anything in Dynasty, but I think if you have CJ Uzomah on your Dynasty rosters, I think it's probably a good upgrade, a good tight end 2 to have maybe behind a solid tight end in front of him.
For sure. So Scuba says, Sky Moore in the second is my ideal scenario as a Cowboys fan. Best fit as a slot rack guy. You can also, I fully agree with you. And
are you sure this isn't your like burner account?
For real though. Hey Scuba, what do you know? But all jokes aside though, I like everything that I'm hearing from people I trust from a film perspective. Love Sky Moore. And if you're actually looking at the peripherals of his profile from an analytical standpoint, he meets the thresholds you want. And if I were to compare, I know this is a lazy comparison, but I think Sky Moore is kind of like a B-Tech version of what Elijah Moore represented for me last year.
Yeah,
And
I
we're
mean, we
talking
kind
about
of already
offense.
had this conversation. I
Yeah.
think Elijah Moore was just a significantly better prospect,
Oh,
but
and
Sky Moore is definitely a guy worthy. He's going to go in the second round of the NFL draft, and he has fun. Like, I haven't watched him in depth yet either, but from what I've seen of him, he's got, a pretty fun play style, and he does fit well as a slot run after catch type of guy
yeah.
for the Cowboys if they move, Lamb on like to the outside permanently as their like X receiver and Gallup obviously to
Gallup's
stretch
the
the
X.
field.
I think
Gallup, yeah.
Gallup from a fit perspective was a better fit. Again, this is going to sound corny, but from an actual like receiver position perspective, he was a better fit for our offense than Cooper, because Michael Gallup is really good against press. Michael Gallup is really good on the line of scrimmage, and he's been playing the X for us for the past 3 years. So the fact of the matter is we both kind of know that CeeDee Lamb is best used when he's able to get a free release, when he's able to line off the line of scrimmage at the Z, at the slot. So getting Michael Gallup to play your kind of perma X type of role and handle that boundary type of role, physicality type of role, I really, really like the fit. And ultimately, people are going to talk about the ACL. People are going to talk about that, oh, you're signing a worse player. You're intentionally downgrading. I think from an offensive fit, though, Gallup fits better with what we're trying to do than what Cooper actually represented. So I actually really like the Gallup signing. And you guys have heard me on Twitter saying that 12.5 APY, especially with what Kirk ended up getting, that was a steal of a deal for Dallas,
Yeah,
man.
Kirk just fucked over us Bucs fans who wanted Chris Godwin for a half decent deal because if we can't pay Godwin less than what Kirk got. Like, not a chance. Like, we're gonna have to pay Godwin 20 a year, guaranteed, like at least. And Adams is probably gonna get 25, 30, like legitimately, whenever he signs a contract.
Yep, I fully agree there. 64 people in here. Let's get some likes going, fellas. Yeah, we have 81 people in here. Let me just quickly take a look. You guys, you can read some comments, Corey. I want to just see how many likes we have on the stream, considering the fact that we have 80 concurrent viewers in here. I bet you it's not more than 35, but hopefully I'm pleasantly surprised by that.
Yeah. Uzama to the Jets, 24 million. Yep. 12 team super flex. Is the 205 too much or too low for Trubisky in a super flex format? Go ahead.
I'll say one thing. We currently have 33 likes or 36 likes on the stream right now. I want to see that up to at least 55, 60 in the next 15 seconds if you guys can hit that. So
that's a pretty lofty goal.
Hey, I trust our audience. If you guys are watching the stream and you enjoy the stream, hit that like button. It helps us a lot in that YouTube algorithm, as we will always say on our YouTube videos. So helps us in the stream as well, baby. Go hit that like button.
Yeah. Okay. So back to the question. 205. If let's say you're a contender, I'm assuming Alejandro's a contender of some kind. You need a third quarterback, maybe even a fourth quarterback. Is the 205 too much or too low to give up for Mitch Trubisky?
Too much.
I think it's too much as well.
Too much.
Not by a lot, though. I don't think it's crazy. I think the 210, 211, 212 is more.
I was going to say early third. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say late second, just because it's psychologically seems like a lot better of a pick than an early third rounder to the opposing manager. So I think if you have like the 209 or later, I'm okay giving up that for Trubisky. But at the 205, somebody's going to fall. Somebody's like, Algier, Rashad White, David Bell, Justin Ross, George Pickens, like somebody in that range is going to fall to that 205 range. And once I'm deciding between Zamir White and Mitch Trubisky and as my third quarterback, I'll take, Mitch Trubisky in that situation.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that is fair. But if you have Trubisky and you can get the 205 for it, you go take it right now, Alejandro. But if somebody's offering you Trubisky for the 205, I wouldn't pay that much. So we can get to some more comments. Get well soon, Danny. Beast mode for doing. I appreciate it, man. I'm fighting through fighting through some feelings right now, but we power on. We power on, baby. No excuses. If anything, Trubisky being signed is a good thing because it all but guaranteed. I fully agree with you. I do think, a more raw prospect, for example, with Corral, the main concerns there is the offense he played in at Ole Miss in terms of being a, RPO based type of system. He could really benefit from playing behind, a stopgap bridge guy. And obviously, as we know, Willis has the most untapped potential in this entire class. If Willis hits his ceiling, he could legitimately be a top 5 to 7 fantasy type of quarterback at minimum. So having him sit behind Trubisky to start the year, I think could be beneficial. And heck, if people are worried about, he's not going to start right away for me, what's going to happen to his value? Look at the value insulation of Trey Lance this year for having 2 or 3 instances where he showed that dual threat type of ability. If Willis shows that, he's going to be a top 24 startup pick next year.
Yeah, and he's pretty much already there, even though he hasn't played a snap in the NFL. So Yeah, Trubisky, I think it's all but a guarantee that the Steelers are going to take whatever quarterback that they covet, whether it's maybe they have two guys, maybe they really want Willis, but if they don't get Willis, they're okay with Howell, or they're okay with Pickett, or they're okay with Corral, or they're okay with Ritter or something like that. So I agree. I do think the Trubisky signing means that they're after a rookie and not, Deshaun Watson or Garoppolo.
Agreed there. So many people in here to coach, but they won't make. Don't kill me. Watson most likely to go to. Yeah, I do think Watson is going to end up
Again,
being a
that's why
Panther.
it's an easy connection to make, but I do think it makes some sense. One thing I want to touch on real quick that we haven't talked about yet, because nothing's officially happened with this, but it was reported earlier today that both Melvin Gordon and JD McKissic are not going to be back with their teams. And obviously, two of our top 10 dynasty running backs are gonna get affected by that. Javonte Williams is already my RB2. I don't know where he is in your rankings. I think he's your RB2 as well.
He's
three
my
for you.
three.
What do you have, Swift ahead of him?
Swift currently, yeah.
Okay, so he's already my RB2. I didn't move him anywhere in the last, while. Since Russell Wilson got traded there, he's been my RB2 this entire time. So Melvin Gordon leaving doesn't really affect anything for me. Javonte's still a superstar, dynasty asset. Antonio Gibson's the one that it matters more for, because we've seen him, be limited in terms of his snap share and the amount of routes that he's running by JD McKissic. I don't know if it means that he's going to get a 3-down workload or whatever the case is, but it might mean at the very least that Jarrett Patterson might have some value. Maybe they want him to fill in for the JD McKissic role, but I tend to believe that Antonio Gibson's stock is on the rise for sure if McKissic signs elsewhere, which is what it was reported.
If I agree there. So we have Pete back. I remember him from last live stream, so just had the shout out back. Is Robbie Anderson still getting dealt? How do we feel about Terrace if that happens and Watson goes there? Hayden kind of outlines it a couple comments down. I do think that Terrace Marshall is more likely to be a part of the Deshaun Watson package than he is to be a beneficiary of Deshaun Watson. And that's a little jab at him too, because we don't believe in face planners in general. But I also do believe that.
Oh, you think they would send Terrace Marshall in the trade?
Yeah,
that'd be kind of funny. If everyone's like, "Oh, it's Terrace," like if the report comes out that the Panthers traded for him, they're like, "Yeah, Terrace Marshall, buy low," and then Terrace Marshall's part of the package to go back the other way.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I would agree with you there. In terms of Robbie Anderson, I think they're kind of just stuck with that at this point. What team is really trading for Robbie Anderson and being happy about it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Also, if I can help it, I would try and sell Terrace Marshall now if you have him with the fairy tale ending that Deshaun Watson ends up in Carolina. Because even if that does happen, there's no guarantee that Terrace Marshall is going to produce because we haven't seen him do anything. And number two, like Danny said, it's possible that he's part of the trade package too, and he goes back the other way.
Well, I remember when Russ got traded to Denver, everybody's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe Noah Fant finally has a quarterback." Yada yada yada. That he was just part of the package.
Yeah, and if you sold Noah Fant right before that, then you probably got you're away with something.
2024 first and 207 for ETN in a one quarterback league. Give me ETN.
Yeah, I'll take ETN, especially in a one quarterback.
Yeah, and Hayden kind of outlines it here, but based on the contracts, in my opinion, New Orleans would offer Davenport and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Carolina would offer some type of package with Darnold, Gross Matos, and Terrace Marshall, and probably with either of those packages, you're also including 3 first-round picks. So I agree. I mean, those are really the only valuable young assets that are on cheap deals that either of those teams have. So I do think that if a trade were to surface for Deshaun Watson, those type of players would be the players, ancillary pieces involved in the package, along with, of course, probably 3 first-round picks would be the asking price.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose they could also include their first rounder from last year too, with Carolina being J.C. Horn and I mean, who the fuck did the Saints take? Peyton Turner or something in the first round?
Yeah,
over Elijah Moore, who they should have taken. But yeah, that would have been. I suppose they could drum up some interest that way. I can't believe they took Peyton Turner in the draft last year.
I'll just say one thing. Could you imagine if Elijah Moore was on the Saints and he would have ended up with Deshaun Watson?
That'd be crazy.
As much as I love Zach Wilson, give me Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Davenport, Ruiz, McCoy, Onyemata, Adebo. Adebo isn't worth shit. I don't think, at least. We can't trade most of our star players that have been restructured. Their dead cap hits are too. See, that's the thing with New Orleans is that they either have superstar guys on big contracts or they don't have it. Because they don't have very many guys on rookie contracts right now that are impact players for them. Who do they have on rookie contracts that's an impact player for them? Is Davenport an impact player? No.
Davenport
Ruiz is probably your best player that's on a rookie contract right now.
Yeah, and
McCoy got extended. Michael Thomas is on a contract. Lattimore's on a contract. Kamara's on a contract. Ramczyk on a contract. Like everybody that's like worth a damn on the Saints roster is under like a big contract.
And like theoretically too, if you're the Saints, like if you're acquiring Deshaun Watson, why would you want to include like legitimately some of the pieces that would help his livelihood in New Orleans? Like why would you include, a Cesar Ruiz or a Eric McCoy if you're picking up Deshaun Watson? Because typically you would want them there to protect Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that Hayden doesn't mention here too is, and again, it doesn't make sense for Houston, but it could happen. Either of the running backs could go back in that trade too, like Kamara or McCaffrey. I don't think it makes sense to do that if I'm the Texans, but I mean, it wouldn't shock me if they do it. If it's just a salary dump for the other team, they could include more draft capital as a result of that. They might be like, we're not going to give you 3 first-round picks unless you take Kamara's salary and Kamara.
Well, I mean, we're basically looking at the same team that traded away DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson in a second-round pick.
Right, which was the dumbest trade on planet.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't rule anything out for the Texans at this point. If we traded Ram Man, yeah. I mean, that doesn't make sense. Then,
your contract person needs to be fired also because the Saints are constantly in cap hell.
You got to credit Sean Payton for that. He basically just said, "Yeah, let me put everything into the into winning a Super Bowl and then not winning the Super Bowl."
Yeah, whatever happened to Taysom Hill being the starter too? Like that just is gone now. That Payton's gone. Like we haven't heard anything about Taysom Hill since like Sean Payton retired.
Hey, he was just kind of running a pyramid scheme with Taysom Hill pretty much every year.
Yeah, I don't like Juju either. Haha, needed depth at wide receiver. Again, I don't think Juju was a bad buy just because.
Agreed.
If he gets good money, people are going to buy into him for sure.
By the way, I just want to say I think Corbett was a phenomenal signing for the Panthers.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
We kind of briefly addressed it, but yeah, he was really good with the Rams last year, and he was a former high second-round pick for the Browns back in the day too. So the talent is there. The performance was there last year. So at the end of the day, sometimes you're going to have to shell out those big contracts to make sure that you have the proper protection, especially when you're going after a franchise-altering piece.
Right, but having Corbett play alongside the players he played in Los Angeles and Cleveland, for that matter, too, is different than him probably being the best, if not the second best player on the fucking Panthers line, because he's not, really that good. What? He's a good complimentary guy, like what Alex Kappa was. What?
Zay Jones to the Jaguars, 3 years, up to $30 million.
What? What the fuck are they doing?
What?
Dude, they signed like a 5th slot receiver.
Bro, they love it, man. They love it. What the? Also, can we briefly talk about the fact they literally chose Trent Baalke over fucking Byron Leftwich?
You guys now know why we weren't in on Trevor Lawrence to the extent that everybody else was, because these clowns are running this franchise.
Unreal. If I'm shopping James Conner, which I'd be looking for, I'm a contender, but help to get younger. If you can get, from a pick perspective, anything at or higher than a mid-second, I would look for that. In terms of contending pieces, I would look to maybe buy, a veteran receiver. Maybe see if you can package, James Conner in a late 2 to go get like a Keenan Allen type. I think that would be a great move.
I just tweeted Travis Etienne's playing X next year.
But yeah, what are your thoughts there? Like James Conner, maybe in a mid to late second to go and get like a Keenan Allen, maybe if you're a contender.
Yeah, that's a good move. He said he wants to get younger. If you can use James Conner in a tier up scenario, let's say, I just mentioned Travis Etienne. If you can take a late first rounder, like the 111, and package James Conner in with that late first rounder and get Etienne, that would make a ton of sense to me. Because he said he's a contender, but he wants to stay competitive. I think that would make, a lot of sense. Or going after, if Allen Robinson signs with the Lions, you could take James Conner and like a 2nd round pick and go after Amon-Ra or something like that.
Yeah, no, I agree there. Oh, my chest just started acting up. Sorry.
I have the hiccups, man. I ate like 2 huge hot dogs and like a bunch of salad right before I came on here. I've been like hiccuping the whole time.
Dude, when my symptoms were like not as prevalent this morning, I just literally ate eggs at like fucking like 8 a.m. Literally before we hopped on a call, I ate eggs. And classic for me, by the way. I just literally haven't eaten a single meal since because I physically can't.
I cannot believe they literally they're pulling a 2021 Patriots. That's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, what did the Patriots signed Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne last year? Kendrick Bourne actually wasn't terrible, but I mean, yeah, it was kind of stupid.
Yeah, no, I agree there. Also, Elijah Moore just quote tweeted the Uzama signing. So like Jets, a Jets account tweeted out the Uzama signing, and Elijah Moore just quote tweeted it with a devil face.
On it, they've made some decent signings so far. With Laken Tomlinson, you get a starting guard. Your
He's
fucking
good.
interior was a goddamn mess. So that makes sense. And then you get, Uzama. Is he worth $8 million a year? Maybe not, but like, I mean, it's a starting tight end, which you did not have last year.
Yeah.
And he's more reliable, I would say, than a guy like OJ Howard, who they also could have went after.
I agree. It's only Moton. With the news today, what you think of this one quarterback, Christian Kirk in the 103 for the 106, the 206, and the 211? If it's a one quarterback, I would be willing to go with the 103 side because I do think that there's a tier break after those three receivers and the running back. And I mean, Christian Kirk for his own right is probably worth around the 206 anyway. So from my perspective, you're moving up with the 106 and the 211 to go get one of the best players, in my opinion, in a tier break. I'd be willing to get the Christian Kirk side here.
What about the second part of the question that he says? I'd probably be then flipping the 106 for ETN and the 205. If you can actually do that, by all means, make this trade. Yes. I'm comfortable giving the 103 for ETN, but if you're able to like somehow pull this trade off after you make this move, like guaranteed, then I'm definitely fine making that trade because then you net ETN, the 205, the 206, and the 211 for Christian Kirk and the 103, which is a huge, huge return. So.
Yeah, I didn't even see that second part of the question. If you can for sure get that deal, like 100%, the guy told you, like, listen, if you get the 106, like I'd be willing to flip ETN in this package. Go get ETN. Yeah. Even though we've just been roasting the fuck out of the Jaguars.
Yeah.
I think O-line is a weak link position group. You can't have one bad player, but they all don't have to be studs. Yeah, I mean, we've kind of seen it with the Cowboys, for example. Biotish and Connor Williams were really struggling off the second half of the season. And it didn't matter if you have Tyron Smith. It didn't matter if you had Terrence Steele, Lyle Collins. It didn't matter if you had Zach Martin. If teams were able to generate pressure rushing for, especially in the interior of the offensive line, no matter what type of other pieces you have, the offensive line is going to struggle. So, I fully agree with that sentiment there. I have Bateman Hollywood.
Ian Hardens tweeted at Jaguars, just the enter button meme, and it's just LOL, you wilds, keep going though. Everybody's freaking out about Laviska Shenault. I'm like, dude, did anybody actually believe in this dude still? Because I didn't. Like, if Laviska Shenault wasn't going to be good this year, he wasn't going to be good, period. Like, I know, like, Trevor Lawrence wasn't good this year, but if Laviska Shenault was actually a good player, then he would have made himself look better than he did this year.
Yep. I have Bateman Hollywood and full PPR. What should I look to do? None are like screaming sells at all. I mean, heck, both are pretty much buys, specifically Hollywood for me. The only way I'd be willing to move off of one personally is if somebody still has their pre-draft biases of Bateman and think he straight up over Hollywood and are willing to offer and compensate accordingly. So I'd be
okay just moving off of one of those guys within the same tier if you want to limit your exposure to Baltimore's passing game, which I don't think is like a terrible idea to have both of those guys. Because it's a very good offense. So it's not like you have two of the, shit offenses, best receivers or whatever. But if you can move off of Bateman for St. Brown or something like that, then I'm fine doing that.
Yeah. I mean, Bateman for St. Brown, you could probably even get a plus. I was thinking maybe you add a late second to Bateman and maybe move up to like a Devonta Smith, or if somehow in your league, somebody if somehow in your league, somebody undervalues Elijah Moore too, like that could be a move you make. Like Bateman in a early to mid second, even I'd be willing to do for Elijah Moore because I genuinely think that this is a guy when it's all said and done by this time next year is going to be a top 10 dynasty receiver.
Yeah, and if you're like, I'm assuming his question is because he has both, Ravens wide receivers, but I'm okay just keeping both of them for the time being. Is Carter looking like a bell cow for the Jets? I don't think so, but it is encouraging that they re-signed Tevin Coleman and they didn't go out and sign Melvin Gordon or Ronald Jones or Leonard Fournette or anybody in that kind of range. So Carter is not probably going to be a bell cow. I expect them, if they don't add anybody in free agency else other than just Tevin Coleman, that they'll add like a day 3 running back to the core. But I think Michael Carter, the outcome that we want for Michael Carter, I comped him to CEH coming out of school, coming out of North Carolina. You want the role that we wanted for CEH, basically, which is, 10 to 15 carries a game and 6 or 7 targets a game. That's what you want out of Michael Carter. You don't want him getting worked into the ground. We want the DeAndre Swift treatment for Michael Carter, if possible. So hopefully they sign a banger or they draft a banger in the late rounds, and that's it. That's all they add to this running back core.
Well, did you see what NBC tweeted?
What?
Crazed Jaguars give Zay Jones 3 for 24.
crazed Jaguars.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Bryce says, I have Tannehill, Fields, 101, 105, 109. Should I get Zach Wilson for the 109 or just keep the picks in the super flex? Go get Zach Wilson. Go get Zach Wilson for the 109 right now. You set up your trio of quarterbacks for the future. You still have the 101 in case you want to add, a Breece Hall, 105 in case you want to add one of those wide receivers, and you have your locked and loaded third quarterback.
It's funny. I have both of those quarterbacks in our listener league. I have Tannehill and Fields as well. I cannot get Zach Wilson for the 109 though, because I offered Spicy Hot the 111 in like 2/3, and he laughed in my face for Zach Wilson. So yeah.
People, it's harder, especially when everybody in the league like listens to the content as well. I think it was bad quarterback.
Tweeted, Say Jones runs a 4.45, but that dude is straight cheeks.
That is fair. I mean, like, I don't know. I can't fully believe a scenario where a locked and loaded billion-dollar franchise, $1 million, whatever the fuck the Bears are worth, would intentionally go and throw Allen Robinson's season. That just doesn't like make a lot of sense to me. Like, could they have said, you know what, like, we want to prioritize involvement of Darnell Mooney and want to prioritize his development? Sure, but it's not like, Justin Fields sees this guy open and says, nah, I can't throw it to him because the coaching tells me otherwise. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this?
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I'm trying to make a meme right now.
Oh, classic.
Yeah, I was going to make the handshake meme of Jacksonville Jaguars, Las Vegas, Nevada, loving slots.
That's a good one. Imagine A-Rob, a wide receiver at 32, ARSB, Swift, and that O-line for a quarterback coming in 2023. I love that for Dynasty and real life. Yeah, and people don't realize that offensive line is in very good shape for what's arguably, one of the worst teams in the NFL, and they have a ton of capital to be able to keep adding to that offense. This is going to be one of the top quarterback nests in the league coming into 2023, and if they're better than expected in 2023, I wouldn't completely rule out the fact that maybe they make a move for a big time quarterback because they do have a nest here.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, I agree.
I'm honored to get a random first. You guys smashing that. In that scenario, I'm willing to sell Amon-Ra St. Brown. If I can get a random 2023 first right now for Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'd be willing to do that because I personally value him in that 109 type of area this year, which I would rather a random 2023 first than the 109.
Right. I agree. I think if you can, maybe get him for a bit less, or if you can get a little bit more than that, then I'm, definitely smashing that if somebody's willing to throw a third rounder this year on top of that or something. But yeah, I would say that's pretty equivalent value.
Yep. I already have Elijah and DJ on one team, so I need one more. Yeah, facts. I mean, hopefully you're not investing too much in like Rondale. Seacock Nanny. Nice name. I appreciate it. Have Mahomes, Herbert, and Zach Wilson, a 12-man Super Flex Dynasty. Also have the 101, Javonte Williams, Jerry Jeudy, and Hawkinson are my building blocks. What should I do, boys? I mean, it depends. Like, again, you named like 4 players here. 5. Well, I was gonna say you named like 5, 6 players here. How is like the rest of your roster? Do you think if you can compete right now, I would take Breece? If
I would
not,
take Breece regardless.
Well, I was gonna say if not, I'd be looking to trade down and accumulate more assets for next year. Like you can get maybe a mid first this year and a 2023 first. I would be willing to do that if I'm not ready to contend.
Right. He did mention his building blocks, so maybe he is more of in like a rebuilding mode. But I mean, Breece is only 21 years old. Even if you're a year away, I'm still okay just taking Breece. And then by Breece's second season, if you add another receiver or whatever the case is, then you should be able to compete at that point in time. So I'm okay just going with Breece Hall at the 101.
Yep. That is fair. If you were to make the pick, yeah. What should I do, boys? We're going to answer that. So I just drop Cephas. I mean, he's not really worth much, to be honest. But if you have the bench spot, there's like no point, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Robert.
I don't think they have any money left.
I don't. If they signed 3 like high costing free agent wide receivers in the same cycle, is that like the only team that's ever done that? Especially because they got 2 last year.
Some random pitcher in the MLB just signed with the Texas Rangers, and everyone's like, "Jags didn't sign him."
Like this, forget. Hey, yeah, listen, go. If you're liking if you're watching the stream and not liking, I'm not gonna say get out, but just like the stream. That's all I have to say. I'm definitely a tight end guy in tight end premium. That one extra point makes average tight ends equal to amazing days for wide receivers. The only problem with that is the tight end position as a whole is generally tight end or bust unless you have an elite option. So if you're investing, like middle to late tight end ones, like as much as I love like a Dawson Knox, if he doesn't score, like he's getting outproduced by like Hunter Renfrow easily.
Yeah.
So yeah. Sadly, I don't trust Wentz to throw to Gibson much, even if he gets that third down roll. He refused to check down to JT more than like once. Yeah, that is fair too. Who are the top 3 free agents to watch out for where they land for fantasy purposes? I mean, who the fuck's even left other than like A-Rob? Like who's left?
So Allen Robinson's left here. Let me go to our
A-Rob, yeah,
sheet that we did.
That's true.
The other day here. Okay, free agency predictions. So what we had listed here. So at quarterback, the still available guys are obviously Deshaun Watson, Jimmy Garoppolo, who aren't free agents, but they're available via trade. Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, Teddy Bridgewater signed with the Dolphins, so he's not available. Mitch Trubisky's not available. I still think Fitzpatrick, if he's healthy, can play still. And then at running back, we still have Fournette available. We still have Melvin Gordon available. We still have Rashad Penny available, Ronald Jones, Sony Michel available. So everybody really except the two Cardinals running backs is available at running back. And then at wide receiver, Allen Robinson is still available. Will Fuller, DJ Chark, Juju Smith-Schuster, Odell Beckham Jr., MVS, who's supposedly going to probably get overpaid, Russell Gage, and James Washington is the guys that we had listed here. And then at tight end, it's really just Gronk, who's definitely going to go back to the Bucs or retire. And then Ertz has already been signed. CJ Uzomah has already been signed. Gerald Everett, I guess, is the only other interesting name at tight end. Maybe Jared Cook and OJ Howard.
Yeah. I can't see. Yeah, that is fair, Bryson. Maybe not.
He's actually right about Davenport. He was really. I just looked it up because he was a monster last year. I was like, I don't remember him being a monster, but his pass rush win rate percentage was actually 7th best in the NFL last year, and it was ahead of Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, Danielle Hunter, like a bunch of like really good pass rushers. So, I mean, he definitely had a better year last year, but that's also the only thing he's done in his career. So maybe, but we've seen 1-year wonder pass rushers get like paid in free agency. So I wouldn't doubt if they had some kind of value to him if they added Davenport in that trade.
For sure. That's definitely fair. My boy Steve, a little shout out right here.
He's the one who signed Carson Wentz. That guy ain't a cap wizard.
That's my boy though. Hey Steve, once my COVID's done, expect me back at the gym, brother.
So much Jaguars shade.
Trent Baalke.
Yeah, the Jags said, should we get Byron Leftwich to run our like be our head coach, or should we keep Trent Baalke? And they really said, nah, let's keep Trent Baalke.
Yeah. Visca truther till I die. I mean, I don't like face planners personally.
Yeah.
Just me. Zach till I die. Spicy. Yeah, I tried for Zach too. I think I asked like Zach Wilson and like 2 first-round picks for like one of my top dogs. Like I think for Watson, and Spicy just kind of like laughed in my face. I'm like, oh, okay, I thought that was a fair deal, but
this would be a great day for me in the Listener Dynasty League if this happened. Apparently, there's reports the 2 teams that have the most interest in Browns wide receiver Jarvis Landry are the Chiefs and the Saints. And I have Landry in our Listener Dynasty League. I would love if he went to Kansas City because then I could just sell him.
Yeah, facts. Jags can't front load these deals and just eat the dead cap L after 2 years. They have so many needs, it's worth it if it means helping. Yeah, I mean that is fair. But I mean, when you're signing just like shit slot receivers, then that's still bad use of it.
Oh, the Bugatti and the like shitty house meme.
Hey, Spicy Hot, you settle down over there, big guy. You see what he said?
Big
facts. Fuck, man.
But the Bugatti and the shitty house meme, that's Ben. Yeah. Ben just tweeted Trevor Lawrence on the Jaguars.
Like Glassmere?
Yeah.
Should I be trading Visca for 307 right now? I'd rather include Visca in a package. Like if you could move up like from the 208 to the 203 using Visca Chenault, like that's what
that is the best use of face planners in my opinion is in trade packages. If you're trying to tier up at like wide receiver or something, and you're like, oh, I want to go from like Rashad Bateman to Brandon Ayuk or something, and just throw in Laviska Shenault in the trade or something like that, and maybe you can get a truther to buy in.
10 team, 1 quarterback. I have 105. Sounds like Hall and the 3 receivers are going top 4. I want a wide receiver. Who should I target? So if I would look to ship the pick, then I would look to try to get like a win now type, or not a win now, but like an established type of wide receiver.
Yeah, you might
like,
be able to get like Stephon Diggs for that pick, man.
yeah, or else
At the 105, you say the top 3 receivers and Hall are going to be gone. I doubt it, dude. I'm telling you, somebody's going to take Walker over Drake London, Treylon Burks, or Garrett Wilson. I'd be willing to bet that somebody would take Walker or Spiller too over those guys. And if they don't, then you shop that pick with the intention that, hey, there's a running back on the board right now that I don't need or I don't want, and someone will probably want to pay for Kenneth Walker or somebody.
For sure. And what I want to say is maybe you can include, 105 in a second and go after like Elijah Moore.
Yeah.
That'd be a move I'd look for as well. Rest of the roster shit. Yeah.
Okay, I would maybe trade down from the 101, or, worst comes to worst, you just take Breece Hall. And then once he starts blowing up in like training camp and like the preseason, you could just trade Breece Hall if you wanted to.
For sure. Yeah, no, he wants Sky, not Rondale. That's fair. That's a good call. Are the Blackhawks going to give Cap a chance?
Blackhawks, Seahawks.
I'm
wrong sport right now,
bro. COVID.
True.
I'm just taking Hayden's advice. Blackhawks, Seahawks going to give Cap's done in the NFL. I'd want to see him back because it'd be fun, but he's not coming back.
Facts.
And watch that just age like milk. Juju, yeah, I mean, when we were talking about free agents, we're not getting the Discord. So if you're watching this live stream right now, if you go to the link in the description, you should be able to access it no problem from there. So just click in that link and you're all set. Boys, the Patreon manifesto is fire. I appreciate that, Bryson. Yeah, if you guys don't already know, if you are a subscriber of our Patreon, you get access to our Dynasty manifesto. Everything's
I'll literally just read off what's in it for you. If you guys don't know what's in it, we have our Superflex rookie rankings top 36. We have our 1 quarterback rookie rankings top 36. We have bucketed rankings by age buckets. So wide receivers that are 29 plus, who are the best wide receivers there? Wide receivers that are 25 to 28, who are the best wide receivers there? The foundational wide receivers, the really young guys, who are the best wide receivers there? Both of us have our own individual bucketed rankings there. Then we have the typical Dynasty quarterback rankings, running back, wide receiver, tight end. Each of us have our own rankings and then a consensus. And then we also have top 100s currently. Danny's just finishing his up, but that'll be done probably by tomorrow. And top 100s for Superflex and for 1 quarterback startups as well. So just the top 100 overall players in Dynasty. And all that, we have linked as well, the keep trade cut values right now. We had them just initially listed in there, but it was kind of a pain in the ass to continuously update that. So we just have keep trade cut listed in case you're curious of market values and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, give me a little bit of lenience. I'll get all my top 100s and everything in there. Obviously, today, some unforeseen circumstances affecting my, productivity, but I'll be sure to get that all updated for you guys if you get access to the Dynasty Manifesto. And
we also have all the players, they have their ages in there as well too. And they're based on their birthdays. So it'll always be up to date no matter what time, in the future that you're looking at our Dynasty Rankings Manifesto. So if you're curious, like, hey, how old is, Justin Jefferson, but you also want to see how old he is in relation to the other young wide receivers, you can, be able to compare that way as well.
Yep, for sure. So, I had to plug that real quick. Appreciate the support there from Bryce as well. Spicy Hot just kind of addressed Frank, so we're perfect. Discord's nice. You also join. Yeah, a bunch of fantasy degenerates in there, basically talking every move, every trade you want to put in there, you name it. You want to form a league.
I'm trying to make it a better effort of myself to get in there and do some like Q&As and stuff. I know during the summer when I was on my way up to my cottage or something, I just throw in the Discord. Hey, I'm long drive. Send me questions and shit like that. So that's basically what I was doing. But everybody's talking ball in there. So it's also one of the easiest ways to access us for like dynasty decisions or just basic questions. You can DM us on there. Both of our DMs are open.
For sure. How much fab would you guys spend for Trubisky? My league's waivers will open in like 2 weeks. I genuinely don't know.
In Dynasty, I'd blow it all.
Well, yeah, I genuinely don't know what your league dynamic is, but at this current point, you're getting a potential starting quarterback in I'm assuming a super flex league. Otherwise, you wouldn't have asked about Trubisky. I would be willing to blow it all. Yeah.
Yeah, it all depends on how deep your benches are. If it's like a 15 bench dynasty league that's like not very deep or whatever, then maybe don't blow it all. But if it's a dynasty league like I play in where there's like 25,
27
players on your team or whatever, then I'm assuming that very rarely do you see anybody available of note come on the waiver wire. In that case, I'm blowing all my money on them.
Yep, for sure. So thanks, Spicy. Yep, Frank's covered by Spicy. Spicy throwing around that blue wrench, representing as a mod. Gotta love to see it. Jags probably just signed off for real. Miguel, you should have picked Trubisky before last season ended. What running backs from last draft class, not top tier, do you think we should go buy low on Dynasty? Carter, Stevenson, Hubbard, Gainwell, Mitchell, Roundtree. Honestly, like there's none that really stick out to me.
Mitchell's
As, like,
the only one that I'm
that's the only
maybe
one
a bit
maybe
higher than market value on. I think Carter is appropriately priced. I think Stevenson's appropriately priced. Hubbard and Gainwell, I'm just really not that interested in. I just don't know how good of players they actually are. The only guys that have shown me that they're good players are Carter, Stevenson, Mitchell, and Herbert. Herbert might be the guy that you want to buy low. He might be the only one that is probably undervalued right now, just because I know that he's a good player. I've seen him produce on the field already. But Elijah Mitchell's really the only one that I'm potentially going to pay market value or more on.
Yep, for sure. Honestly, congrats to Zay. Yeah, for real. Like that contract is insane. RB thirst is real. Yep, fully agree. The chase deal falls through. That is in place. Would y'all seek for? Here, you can take care.
Yeah, what would you seek for Kittle in a super flexed PPR? For George Kittle, if you're rebuilding, I'd probably be looking for an early first rounder and then maybe a future first, something like that. If you can get that. If you can't get that, then maybe just go for like a mid first rounder and like a solid piece, like a Rashad Bateman type of wide receiver or something like that. That's probably what I'd be looking for Kittle, because Kittle is a big time difference making dude. And even though he's not all that young, he hasn't been in the league long enough for people to think that he's old, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I have 4 firsts next year in 5 seconds. I'm already a contender. What, if any, picks should I send off to try and secure a chip? Honestly, if you're already a contender, like I don't mind making a play for win now pieces. However, if you're not urgently seeking depth, like I don't also mind using liquidity, just having that fallback. But
right,
again, if you get to the point in the season where you're 6-2 and there's only like 1 or 2 other teams, maybe you want to flip it first to go get
Diggs.
Diggs would
like
be
that.
someone like that. So I do agree with you there. John, what would you try to just join Discord? Congrats on joining the Discord as well. What would you try to get for Kittle in a full PPR? We kind of addressed it, but a young wide receiver, potential wide receiver, maybe a Devonta Smith, Rashad Bateman, Monter St. Brown, and a pick attached. So if you can get right now, like a Monter St. Brown and a late first for Kittle.
If you could trade him for a first and his teammate, if you could get 2023 first and Brandon Ayuk, then that would be the trade that I'd be looking to do for sure.
Yep, that's another one. Patrick tried to get. I mean, if you can get
Waddle, I doubt you're going to get somebody like Jalen Waddle, but even if you can't get Jalen Waddle, maybe see and poke around like a DJ Moore type of wide receiver. Again, I doubt you're going to be able to do that because everybody knows that DJ Moore is going to be like rising in value. It looks like Danny's about to die here, so we'll probably have to close this out soon. Deontay Johnson maybe is a guy that you inquire about for a guy like George Kittle too. I would rather have Deontay Johnson straight up than George Kittle. So we'll close out these questions here, and then we'll let Danny get some rest or whatever. But give me Felton on the Chiefs. I mean, Demetric. Yeah, I mean, he just got drafted last year. So
how would that happen?
Yeah, I have no idea. What are Carolina / New Orleans going to give Watson? Seattle's more to offer. They're not. He doesn't want to go to Seattle, and Deshaun Watson has a no trade clause in his contract. So he does actually have final say on where he can go. So if he doesn't want to go to a team, they can't trade him there.
Yeah, I agree there.
I'll finish the questions. Just chill out. What's up, boys? Brady, my highest shares at QB. Great news. Maybe not great for some of my team's futures though. Yeah, definitely not great for the future, but good news that you got an extra, year out of Tom Brady for sure. Do you think the Jets could be in on Breece Hall in the early second? That's not really Joe Douglas's style, but Hall is a special talent. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. I'm not necessarily sure that they would go that direction based on the moves that they've made so far. It seems like they're much more in line of the school of thought that they're not going to invest heavily in running backs. But if they perceive Breece Hall to be like a top 15 player in this class or something, and he's on the board in the early second round, I'm sure they'll stick to their board.
Yeah, I agree there. Sorry. Happy. Yeah, I mean, congrats on Brady, brother. If I give up Mitchell, what pick will I be able to recoup? If you can get, like what, the 107?
If I'm giving up Mitchell, I probably need to be in range to get Spiller or Walker. So you're going to need the 108 or better, probably.
Yeah. Yep. I agree there.
In super flex. In a 1 quarterback league, you'll need the 106 or better.
Yeah. In a super flex. In a 1 quarterback league, yeah, probably what, 104? 105?
Well, I'm okay getting like the 106 for Mitchell because I can get Spiller with that pick most likely.
Sure. Appreciate that, Nate. Yeah, I'm fighting some microwave type of feeling. I don't even know how to describe it other than that. But
Corey
yeah,
gonna need a top 3 pick. Yeah, so you're saying
I'm
for
assuming
Mitchell.
one
I
quarterback.
don't need a top 3 pick to move off of Elijah Mitchell personally, but if you can get a top 3 pick, by all means.
Yeah.
Nice stream, guys. See y'all later. See you later,
Bryce.
Bryson. Hopefully,
See ya, Bryson.
Deshaun Watson's not your quarterback.
I
I
never
never
thought
thought the Colts would invest heavily in running back, and then they took Taylor because of the talent. Who knows? Yeah, very valid point. I think if you got a team that has a first round grade on Brees Hall, he's probably not going to last very long in the second round. That's what I'm thinking. One quarterback, yeah. So in a one quarterback league, I'm thinking
104,
probably
105,
106 is
yeah.
probably what I need at least for Elijah Mitchell. So with that being said, we're gonna head out of here. Let Danny get some rest, blow his nose, take some medicine, get some vitamin C in his system.
Yeah, whatever this sour concoction.
Yeah,
is.
hopefully you're feeling better tomorrow. If we get a flurry of more moves tomorrow, we're happy to go live again and talk about those moves or whatever the case is. So definitely we'll talk to you guys later. If we don't get a whole lot of moves tomorrow, then we'll delay that a day or whatever. Either way, stay tuned to what we got coming. I might since I made a bunch of rebuilding trades in this one league, I might make a video on how to rebuild properly because I think it's pretty interesting. I made like 4 or 5 trades for a rebuilding dynasty roster, and I think it'd be kind of cool to detail that process. So stay tuned for that. I'll probably have that coming in the next couple days as well. So peace out, guys. Talk to you soon.